Without objection.
Mr. President, before I start talking today, I just want to pause for a moment to take a quick drink of the most nutritious, delicious drink known to humankind. So here's to healthy bones, and here's to all the hardworking dairy farmers across Kansas and across America. Mr. President, this summer, the Senate Agriculture Committee worked together to pass this legislation through the committee on a bipartisan basis. A special thanks to our chairman and to our ranking member for working on this with us. This bill will allow for whole and reduced milk as well as nutritionally equivalent non-dairy options to be served in schools. This corrects a decade-old policy made here in Congress that consequently created over 10 years of kids without having access to whole milk at school, and indeed created a whole generation of young Americans with weak bones. Passing the whole milk for healthy kids through the Senate is a huge win for schools, for students, parents, and American dairy farmers. We're giving students more choices, schools more flexibility, and ensure a brighter future for our farmers. Whole milk delivers 13 essential nutrients and has enough fat content to help students absorb vitamins like A, D, E, and K. It's also packed with protein that helps keep the student full all the way through those long afternoon math classes, and then on through gym and on through your sports activities until they get home at night for dinner. Simply put, it's one of the healthiest, it is the healthiest option in the cafeteria. Bringing whole milk and nutritionally equivalent beverages to schools will help fight early onset osteoporosis, osteopenia, and other diet-related diseases by providing students with critical nutrients. Nutrients like calcium, potassium, and vitamin D that we're all lacking today. It strengthens bones. It strengthens bones. It helps your immune system. It builds healthy habits, and it tastes great. As the grandson of a dairy farmer, as an OBGYN for over 30 years, it may seem like I'm a bit biased, but I assure you this legislation is a slam dunk solution for our nation. Of course, there's always room to improve our public health, and I look forward to working with our colleagues who I understand also have a few thoughts on this legislation. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
As a senator from Vermont.
Well, I want to thank my colleague, the senator from Kansas, and I want to join him in drinking a glass of whole milk. And my only regret is it's not Vermont milk, but I got to tell you, the best milk is made in Vermont. Thank you very much. You know, the senator was saying this is a very serious thing in two ways. Number one, we've got to have good nutrition for our kids. And the senator from Kansas outlined why milk is so good. And of course, I remember growing up and going to grammar school and look forward to milk. We had milk breaks, and it made a difference to pay attention in those afternoon classes and to be active in your sports activities right after that. And the second reason is that the dairy farming industry, it's not so much an industry as it is a way of life. And in Vermont, the hardest working people we have are our dairy farmers. And it is a hard job. But it's one where families have done it from generation to generation. There's an enormous pride in being custodians of the landscape and caring for the animals in the herd and in providing nutritious milk to the community. And there's a lot of pressure on our farmers. And this whole milk bill is an acknowledgement of the extraordinary contribution that the dairy farmers in the state of Vermont make to the entire state of Vermont, that the dairy farmers in America make to all of America, including, of course, those wonderful dairy farmers in the great state of Kansas. Now, on this bill, we've had incredible cooperation from our senators who've raised a very important concern. some people are lactose intolerant. They can't drink milk. And the way the legislation was written, but actually because of something that went back to the Truman years, there's some suggestion that's a disability. And I want to thank Senator Alsobrooks, who is here, for bringing this to our attention along with Senator Warnock and working with us to try to get through this so that there's no question about this being a, quote, disability. This is about folks who have the ability, who can drink milk, having access to milk, and it's about honoring our dairy farmers for the hard work they do. So I am really happy to be here with my colleague, and I understand Senator Alsobrooks may have some questions, and I'll yield to her for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you so much to Senator Welch.
I recognize the senator from Maryland.
Thank you. I also want to say thank you so much to Senator Welch and Senator Marshall and my colleagues who are here today and all the members of the Senate Agriculture Committee for their bipartisan work on this legislation. This legislation rightfully provides more options for parents, students, and teachers, which will benefit our children and their families. Specifically, this legislation will allow schools to provide whole milk, but also make it easier for parents to request that their child be provided with a milk alternative if their child suffers from lactose intolerance. I do, however, remain concerned about the continued classification of lactose intolerance as a disability. I want to be clear that this issue predates the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, and the bill does not create this problem. Lactose intolerance of some degree affects more than 50% of the population. The classification of lactose intolerance as a disability can cause confusion for parents who would not refer to their lactose intolerant child as having a disability, especially given the high prevalence of lactose intolerance. So they may not realize that they can write a letter asking for their child's school to provide a milk alternative, and it creates an undue stigma. I want to thank my colleagues and their teams for their receptiveness to my concerns. Most especially want to say thank you so much to Senator Welch and also again to Senator Marshall, and for the discussions that we and our teams have had around them. After those discussions, I understand why my colleagues prefer not to use the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act as the vehicle to address these concerns, and therefore I have agreed to lift my hold on the bill in exchange for a commitment from my colleagues to work with me to find an appropriate legislative solution to address this long-standing problem. So again, I want to thank my colleagues and the members of the Senate Agriculture Committee for their work on this bill that ensures that schools will provide healthy milk and milk alternative options for our children. I look forward to working with you to further support the children and families in all of our states. I yield back the floor.
Recognize the senator from Vermont.
I want to thank Senator Alsobrooks. As usual, she's right, and there's 2 points. One is we want to make certain that the parents have the ability on behalf of their children to choose an alternative that's best for their kids. So this is not about forcing people to drink milk or depriving parents of the responsibility and power they have to make certain that their kids are healthy. So thank you so much, Senator Alsobrooks, for that. And then secondly, the lactose intolerant point the senator makes is valid, and that's why I am enthusiastically looking forward to working with her so that we make certain that there's no stigma associated with a person who is lactose intolerant. So thank you so much for your cooperation on this, Senator, and you have my commitment to work with you to try to resolve what is an anomaly and shouldn't be there. And I yield back.